guys, it's Amanda. So I wanted to do today's video on an update on my laser hair removal. If you haven't already, you may want to watch my first video and I will link to it here or in the down box so that you can see. Let's see, I've gone every 6 weeks and I've done 3 now. So it's probably been about 4.5 months since I started. It was around Thanksgiving. I think it was actually the week of Thanksgiving when I started this, and I purchased 2 sets of 3 sessions. And when you do laser hair removal, they recommend that you have between 6 and 8 sessions, depending upon your hair growth, depending upon your skin tones, and depending on your hair color. But they seem to think that 3 is just enough to take care of it temporarily, but not enough to do the whole shebang. Now, I can attest to that because I have done laser hair removal before. I've done my underarms and also my bikini line, and I did 3 sessions on each of those areas. And whereas I do notice that it grows back lighter, it's not a situation where I can't shave at all. I definitely do have to keep up with the maintenance in those areas. But it is lighter hair growth. It's not as coarse a hair, I feel like, and it's not as dense. So it's easy to tell that there's probably less hair coming in, but again, it's not completely gone after 3 sessions in those areas. Now, another thing that I went over in my first video is pain. When you go into laser hair removal, the first question that most people have is it going to hurt? And this is what I can tell you. I went for those 2 areas with one of my best friends, and she had absolutely no pain. I made her go in first, and she was done in like 10 minutes. I was really shocked. And then she came out and I was like, okay, how was it? But she's kind of like one of those grunt her way through it kind of people. And she said, oh, it's a breeze. And so I felt better going in, but I was still a little apprehensive. I, however, had little to no pain from those 2 areas. It was very, very quick. The laser that I was using has an air gun attached to it where they blow cold compressed air before, during, and after to keep the area cool, which seems to help quite a bit because it does numb you just slightly, but it also keeps that area from getting too hot, because when you're using a laser, you're using light and it heats up the follicle to a very, very high temperature, and the idea is that you don't want it to continue heating so that it doesn't burn your skin. So I can tell you that every laser seems to be different, and so find out, do a little research and see which one works best for you. The woman that was doing my laser hair removal said that she's worked with several lasers, and she found that the one that uses the compressed air to be significantly better, not just in results, but in the fact that people say that it doesn't hurt. So after 3 sections in those areas, getting that done, it was a breeze. I could probably have napped through them. It was so easy. And I would have both areas done at the same time. I was in and out of there probably 15-20 minutes max. Now, with my legs, after my first experience with it not hurting at all, I was going into this thinking, oh, this will be no problem. I am going to a different place. They do use a very similar laser. Again, it has that compressed air component that blows on my legs. And all I can say is that I can feel it. It definitely hurt for my first session. And I think part of that is because, first of all, when you start, they start off kind of at the top of your knee. You have to check with certain places, because if you do the lower leg, which is what I'm doing, some places include the knee and some don't, which I think is totally crazy. But the place that I chose for a couple different reasons, but primarily because they did include the knee, and I thought, you know, why wouldn't you? But anyway, they tend to start at the top of the knee and work their way in kind of a straight line down to your ankle, and then from your ankle back up to the top of the knee. So for me, and apparently for most people, when you start at the top of the knee, it is less pain and it increasingly hurts the closer you get to your ankle. And the reason is that your hair tends to be denser towards the bottom of your legs or towards your ankles, and it also tends to be coarser. And I know that is the case for me. On my lower legs, my hair is pretty coarse to begin with, but definitely towards my ankle, it seems to be a little bit thicker and a little bit more coarse. And when I say that it hurts, For me, it just feels kind of like a needle prick, like a bee sting or something like that, but it is repetitive. So it's kind of the point where when you start, it's just kind of uncomfortable, and then you kind of get to the point where you've passed uncomfortable because it's repetitive and it's really kind of starting to hurt you, and then you just get past that and your body seems to adjust, and although you still feel it and occasionally it hurts and you twinge a little bit more than the other, it's not something that I feel like I couldn't get through. So I was thinking that though at the beginning of my first session, I'm not gonna lie, we were probably only 2 or 3 minutes into it and I'm thinking, oh, I don't know if I can do 5 more of these. But I talked to the person who was doing my laser hair removal about it, and they were very honest, and they said that, you know, it would hurt because on your legs you just have coarser hair and more of it. Obviously it's a large area. And that each time I come in, it would hurt less because I would have less hair growth, so there would be less of the laser needed to be used. So that is true. I've now had 3 sessions, and I'm going in for my 4th session maybe in a week or 2, I think. And so my update that I can tell you is that it has hurt less each time I've gone in. Each time I've definitely gotten that beginning first minute or 2 where I'm like, oh gosh, I forgot how much this hurts. And it's not like unbearable, obviously, because I keep going back for more. But you can feel it. It's not something like my first experience where I felt like I could fall asleep. There's no sleeping through this. But each time I got to that point where I was like, okay, you know, we're almost done and, you know, it'll be over with. And it wasn't that bad. You do the front of your legs and then you flip over and you do your the back of your legs. Oops, sorry. Just knocked over my nail polish. And I will say I kind of thought, okay, I have less hair on the back of my legs, so it's going to hurt less. That's not the case. I definitely do have less hair on the back of my legs, but it's just as coarse, so it hurt, you know, just as much. But my body kind of adapted to it. So a couple things to note is, I think in my first video I told you that they put a gel on my legs, and I was under the impression that that is to numb your legs. That is not true at all. I spoke to the person that was doing it, and she kind of told me, or actually she wasn't available and the doctor came in, and let me tell you, I like where I'm going, but I'm not sure I love the doctor. And that's just because he seems to be a man's man, where he is all about getting stuff done as quickly as possible and getting the best results at, you know, I don't want to say any cost, but he moves much, much faster than she does, which I feel like is good if you're trying to get it over with, but if you're trying to be meticulous and get every hair follicle, then you need to go slow and you need to take your time. And I did notice between my first and second session, he's actually done mine twice, which I'm really hoping she's going to be there next time. She did my first one. But each time I do notice where I have kind of groupings where the hair will grow back in, and I realize it's because he's just missed those places. So back to the gel that they put on your legs. I was told that that is actually to help them know where they've already used the laser, because they run it on your skin or just over your skin, and when they do that, it kind of makes a ripple through the gel, and so they can see where they've hit and where they haven't. And other than that, it's just a total pain for them because the stuff is kind of sticky, and then when you go to take it off your legs, it's just kind of a process. You need to use water because it's water soluble, and you know, all this stuff. So be careful with the person that you get. Make sure that they're going to take their time. And also another thing that's going to help with your pain factor is, don't be a hero. If it hurts and it hurts a lot and you think you can't handle it, tell them, because they can dial back the intensity of the laser, which yes, will probably not give you as good a result as it would with, you know, dialed all the way up, but it's not going to do you any good if you make them stop and you can't keep going, right? So just tell them and they will dial back the intensity, and so that it doesn't hurt as much. Now, another thing that I was talking about with the doctor about being a go-getter and wanting to get things done is he had written down what it was the last time I came in, and he decided to jack it up and not tell me. So when finally I was like, ow, okay, this seems to hurt more than I remember it hurting, he finally said, well, that's because I've dialed it up like 2 or 3 more levels. And I was like, well, thanks. Can you move it back down? So he did adjust it back down and we were good to go. So another thing that you should know going into it, that your skin is going to have a reaction. Everybody seems to react differently, and I will say my first session, I had some redness and it went away pretty quick. My second 2 sessions, again, I think because the doctor was doing it and he was dialing it up and not telling me, I had kind of hives or welts, like big red swollen welts on my legs. Now, you know, I pulled my pants leg down and went home, and by the time I got home they were gone. They had gone away. But it was just my body's reaction to the laser. So I wouldn't go in there on a day where you plan on leaving from there and wearing a skirt and like going back to work, or you want to go out or something like that. I would give yourself at least 45 minutes to an hour to, you know, see how you react to it. So that's another thing to think about. Additionally, another thing that you need to be concerned about is what time of year it is, and this is something I didn't know at all when I first started doing laser hair removal. But when you do laser hair removal, you, like I said, you heat up the follicle, and as a result, they really don't want you to be working out a whole lot. They don't want you to be sweating a whole lot, and they don't want you to be out in sun exposure. And that is because you can reheat that follicle and start burning your skin, which you don't want to do. So keep that in mind when you go, that the spring into summer is probably the worst time to start doing laser hair removal if you intend to go to the beach or anything like that, because you tend to go back every 4 to 6 weeks for your sessions, and they really want you to stay out of the sun as much as possible. And I can tell you that my friend, when we went the first time, she went out in the sun and she didn't have any problems. They tell you that you can get discoloration on your skin that will eventually go away, but she didn't have any of that. But the woman checked her when she went back in. She did the thing where, you know, you push on your skin and you can tell whether somebody's tan or not, and she went ahead and did the laser removal on her, but she kind of gave her a hard time about it. Again, because you can get those sunspots and stuff like that. So now that it is going to be April, I'm starting to think I'm going to go in and talk to them about it, because April might be my last session until the fall. And I'm not sure how that'll change things, so I really want to talk to them about it, because once I get past April, I'm going to be going on a cruise in May, and I'm definitely going to be on the beach and in the sun and by the pool and that sort of thing. So I don't want to have a problem when I go back in for my next session or any of that. So I'm going to talk to them and I will update you guys and let you know. Now, I guess the most important question is, how much hair growth do I feel like I do or don't have? I, from the get-go, from my very first session, have felt like I get reduced hair growth, and your hair grows in cycles, so I definitely think that it's working. In fact, I want to say there's 3 cycles. If somebody knows, let me know, but I feel like that's right. And that's why they want you to go in 6 times at least, so they can hit each cycle twice. And so the first time I went in, it was, you know, October, November into December, so it was definitely like cold pants weather. And I felt like I probably could get away with shaving once or twice in between my 6-week sessions, which is unbelievable, because I know that we get a little lax in the winter and we don't quite keep up. But for me, with my hair being as dark and as coarse and stuff, it just, it would gross me out. So I would still feel like I would have to shave my legs at least once a week. So to be able to go down to shaving twice in 6 weeks was like crazy. Now, since I've had 2 more sessions, I now feel like I've probably shaved my legs, but in a different way. I've shaved my legs in those kind of patched areas where I feel like I just had like, you know, 2 or 3 lines of hair growing in that were like, you know, this long. Not the hair was this long, but like the section of hair was that long. So I would kind of spot shave occasionally, probably once, maybe twice. Again, it's been more along the lines of pants weather, capri weather, something like that around here. Not so much shorts weather yet. So I'm not sure how that'll differentiate when I know that I'm going to be showing off my legs all the time. But I do think that because it's not thick or coarse anymore, that when it grows in it's very fine. It seems to be lighter. Maybe it's my imagination, or maybe it's the fact that it's just one hair growing in and not 12 around it, where it seems to be lighter in situations where I do think that you could get away with shaving much less. Like I said, when I go on this cruise in May, I don't intend to shave at all. At all. At least not on my legs. So I'll be surprised if I have to, and if I do, it might be at the very beginning of the cruise and I'm never going to have to shave the rest of the time. So my results have been really good. I have ideal skin color because I'm very, very fair, and I have ideal hair color because it's very, very dark. So I am the ideal candidate, supposedly. So that may have something to do with how well my results have been, I'm not sure. But if you've had this process done, I'd really love to hear what your experience has been, because I'm very curious whether everybody else seems to have the same kind of results in the amount of hair growth that they've had, how many sessions that you've had, and what you thought the benefits were, what your hair-skin combination is. Any of that information, please share, because I just would love to know. If you've had 6 or 8 sessions, I'd love to know what your experience is, because I'm headed towards that, but I'm not there yet. I guess if you have any other questions about laser hair removal and would like to know, leave me a message below and I will get back to you in the next update video, or I'll send you a private message if it's something more urgent. Yeah, so that's about it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.